Hey, what's going on, guys? Goose here, man, and coming back at your video. Gonna start like I said, this week I'm gonna start a new little video series where I'm gonna go over a lot of NFL teams, their 2019 seasons, and go over them, and see how they fare. And first team, of course, I'm gonna do my favorite team first, the New Orleans Saints. The Saints came into this season in 2019, of course. The prior season, everybody knows what happened. In 2018, they had the when they lost the Rams in the NFC Championship game. So Saints were looking to rebound from that and maybe make it back to the Super Bowl. So the first game that they had was against the Houston Texans. This was a Monday night game in the Superdome, and this game did not disappoint. Uh, I mean, this was very good game. I mean, the Saints won it on the last second field goal, but let's go over we'll go over the scoring plays. Kind of keep the video a little bit short here. All right, so of course there was no scoring in the first quarter, and second quarter the Texans had a 21-yard touchdown run by Deshaun Watson and a 2-yard touchdown pass from Watson to Hopkins, and the Saints only had a field goal. And at halftime, the Texans led 14-3. In the third quarter, Latavius Murray had a 30-yard run for a score, uh, followed by DeAndre Hopkins' 16-yard touchdown reception, and then Taysom Hill had a 9-yard touchdown reception from Drew Brees. And then going to the fourth quarter was 21-17. Texans led by 4. In the fourth quarter, that's when this game just became just a slugfest, and it was very exciting as Traquan Smith caught a 14-yard touchdown pass from Drew Brees, and Will Lutz kicked a 47-yard field goal, and this was with 50 seconds left when Lutz kicked that, and the Saints led 27-21. But they let the Texans go down. I think it was either 2 or 3 plays, might have been 3. It was either 2 or 3 from what I remember, and it was a 37-yard touchdown pass from Watson to Kenny Stills, and with 37 seconds left, the Texans led 28-27. So it looked like the Saints were done for. But the Saints drive. I think they got a good kick return, and they right at the buzzer, Will Lutz kicked a 58-yard field goal, and the Saints were victorious, 30-28. And Drew Brees had a Drew Brees day. He was 32 for 43, 370 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Uh, and the Saints were able to escape with a victory as they won 30-28. Then they went on the road to face the Los Angeles Rams. Well, this was the rematch of the NFC Championship game in the prior season, and this is when Drew Brees got hurt. Saints played horrible. And they were playing bad even when Drew Brees was in the game for the few series. The Saints weren't doing anything, and the Rams won 27-9 as they just bullied the Saints, and they got a field goal from a zero line to start off the scoring. The Saints actually tied the game up at 1.33, and then Zerline kicked the 22-yard field goal right before half. It was 6-3 Rams. In the third quarter, Lutz kicked the field goal to tie it up. It was 6-6. Then after that, it was just all LA. As Gurley had a 4-yard touchdown run, Cooks had a 2-yard touchdown reception, and Goff had a 1-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. And Rams won 27-9. Then we find out Drew Brees is the torn ligament in his thumb. He's going to be out like 8 weeks, stuff like that. And then all Saints fans just went into panic mode, especially me. I mean, how we going to win without Drew Brees, especially when we had a tough schedule coming up next. And so first game without Drew Brees, they went on the road and faced the Seattle Seahawks, and the Saints were victorious, 33-27. As and this was a very surprising game as the Saints had a punt return for a touchdown. They had a fumble return for a touchdown, and they were able to hold on because the Seahawks did move the ball in the fourth quarter, but the Saints were able to be victorious as Deontay Harris had a 53-yard punt return to start the scoring off. It was 7-0 Saints at that point. Then Tyler Lockett had an 8-yard reception from Russell Wilson. It was 7-7 going into the second quarter. And then in the second quarter, that's when we had the Von Bell fumble return, and then Kamara had a 29-yard touchdown reception from Teddy Bridgewater. It was 20-7. Saints led in the second quarter. In the third quarter, Michael Thomas had a 1-yard touchdown pass, and the Saints actually led 27-7 going into the fourth quarter. But in the fourth quarter, Seattle started moving the ball, passing the ball a little better, as they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, and the Saints were able to get one touchdown, as Russell Wilson had a 2-yard touchdown run, an 8-yard touchdown run, and then he threw a touchdown pass with no time left on the clock to Will Disley, excuse me, and it was 33-27. So the Saints were able to walk out with a 33-27 victory, and you win without Drew Brees, man. That was it's a win-win. All right, so then they go now. Next game, they got to play the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys at the time came in 3-0, and the Saints, they were limping in because how we gonna win without Drew Brees 2 games in a row? Well, the Saints found a way, and it wasn't much scoring in this game. The Saints kicked 4 field goals, and the only touchdown was an Ezekiel Elliott 1-yard touchdown run in the third quarter, and that was the only TD for the game, as the Saints were able to beat the Cowboys 12-10 and 2-0 without Drew Brees, man. As that was really I was like, wow, that was a little shocking. So then they have a home game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As Teddy Bridgewater threw for 314 yards, 4 touchdowns. As the Saints as they improved to 3-0 without Drew Brees. As Will Lutz kicked the field goal. Jared Cook had a 9-yard touchdown reception from a 9-yard TD reception from Bridgewater. Then Ted Ginn had a 33-yard touchdown reception, and Thomas had a 12-yard touchdown reception. So the Saints, they just did what they had to do. They ran the ball very, very effectively. These times that Brees was out, it was very, very good to see that the Saints were able to come together, and win three straight games without Drew Brees. Then we go on the road and play Jacksonville. This was another ugly game, as the Saints won 13-6. Of course, the only touchdown was a Jared Cook 4-yard touchdown reception from Teddy Bridgewater in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter, and the Saints were able to hold on for a 13-6 victory, as Will Lutz kicked 3 field goals. And I remember this game. This is just a very, very ugly game that the Saints were able to play enough defense and just get enough on the board to get a victory. Then they go and play the Chicago Bears. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got Chicago Bears. Let's count them here. All right, then they go on the road to play the Chicago Bears, and we didn't know at the time, but this was going to be the last game without Drew Brees. So they're 4-0 without Drew Brees, and man, if you had asked any Saints fan at the time, would you be 4-0 without Drew Brees? No, not going to happen. All right, so the Saints, they got a safety. To start the game, I think it was a block punt. They went out the back of the end zone, if I remember correctly. And then Josh Hill had a 9-yard touchdown. Yeah, Josh Hill had a 7-yard touchdown reception from Teddy Bridgewater, and the Saints led 9-0, and they were really, really dominant in the game at that point. Then Cardell Patterson had a 102 kickoff return, and it was 9-7 after 1 quarter of play. In the second quarter, both teams traded field goals, and the Saints led 12-10 going into the halftime break. And then in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, the Saints scored. We had a Latavius Murray 3-yard touchdown run. Taysom Hill had a 4-yard touchdown reception. Will Lutz had a 30-yard field goal, and Murray had a 4-yard touchdown run. The Saints led 36-10 with 4:33 to go in the game. And this is all really, and I won't say hell broke loose, but this is a lot of things went bad for the Saints. As the Bears scored a touchdown, as Robinson had a 7-yard touchdown reception for a score, and then they get the onside kick. And and let me go back. Yeah, they got the 2-point conversion also, so it was 36-18. So then they get another score with 48 seconds left, and they kick the field goal, and they get the onside kick again. I mean, they got the onside kick again, but then I think they were offsides at the time. I think, remember, they were offsides, and they had to kick it again, and the Saints were able, luckily, to get the ball, because I mean the Saints were horrible at recovering onside kicks during the season. As they botched a bunch of them. So Saints were able to win 36-25, and then they go on home game against the Arizona Cardinals. This is when Drew Brees returns. He throws for 373 yards, 3 touchdowns. Saints win 31-9 as they improve to 7-1 in the season. As we had a touchdown run by Latavius Murray, a 15-yard touchdown reception from Murray from Drew Brees, and then Drew Brees threw a touchdown pass to Taysom Hill, and also threw one to Michael Thomas. And the Saints just destroyed the Cardinals 31-9. Then they had a bye week, and the next game is when everybody really thought that Brees was going to come back. Going to be against the Atlanta Falcons. So come off the bye week, the Saints played the Falcons, and the Saints played horrible, and the Falcons played dynamite, as the Falcons crushed the Saints 26-9, and that score was just it didn't tell the story, as the Atlanta dominated the Saints. Saints they didn't get a touchdown. All they got was three. All they got was 3 field goals, as the Falcons just destroyed the Saints. I mean, Matt Ryan he only threw the ball for 182 yards, 2 touchdowns. They ran for 143, but I mean, if anybody watched the game, I mean, the Falcons just destroyed the Saints, especially defensively, as I think they sacked Drew Brees like 7 times. It was just an awful game. And the Saints, they came out unprepared, and I think the Falcons were coming off a bye week also, and they just destroyed the Saints. All right, so then coming off the bye week, the Saints were they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Saints were 7-2 coming into this game, and they beat Tampa Bay 34-17 as Drew Brees throws for 228, 3 touchdowns, as the Saints defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as Michael Thomas had a touchdown reception, Jared Cook had a touchdown reception, Ted Ginn had one, and then Marcus Williams also had a interception return, 55-yard interception return for a touchdown late in the fourth quarter, and gave the Saints the 34-17 margin. So then this was a home game against the Carolina Panthers, as this was another game where the Saints had to get a game-winning kick from Will Lutz, as they win 34-31, as Latavius Murray and Traquan Smith got the scoring off starter for the Saints. They led 14-0, and then DJ Moore had a 51-yard touchdown reception from Kyle Allen, and it was 14-6 after the PAT was missed by Carolina. And in the second quarter, Carolina scored a touchdown. They had a field goal. Saints only got a field goal, so it was 17-15 going into the second half of this game. Then Jared Cook had a touchdown reception. Michael Thomas had a touchdown reception. McCaffrey had a touchdown run for the Panthers. It was 31-24 going into the final quarter. And then that's when Carolina actually tied they did tie the game up 31-31, as DJ Moore had a 2-yard touchdown reception from Kyle Allen, and then Will Lutz kicked the 33-yard field goal as time expired, and the Saints got their second game of the year, and as they won on the game-winning kick. All right, so then they had the Thanksgiving game. This was another weird game. This was a Thanksgiving game when the Saints clinched the division, as they beat the Atlanta Falcons 26-18. As the Saints really dominated the game, but another game where they couldn't get an onside kick, and it almost cost them. So Taysom Hill had a 3-yard touchdown reception. Will Lutz kicked the field goal. Hill had a 30-yard touchdown run, and the Saints led 17-9 going into the halftime break. Then the Saints had Then they kicked 3 field goals, and they led 26-9. And then with then the Falcons, then they woke up on offense as a Russell Gage had a 13-yard touchdown reception. The 2-point conversion failed. It was 26-15. They get the onside kick. They kick a field. They kick a field goal, and then it just and luckily the Saints were able to get luckily the Saints were able to get the ball back and run out the clock, because there's another game where the Saints couldn't recover an onside kick, and it almost cost them. It almost cost them. Hopefully, hopefully they fired that guy. All right, then we got a home game against the San Francisco 49ers, as this was a back and forth game. As Frisco kicks a field goal at the end to win 48-46, as Jared Cook had a 38-yard touchdown pass, then a 26-yard touchdown pass reception, I should say, from Breeze, and the Saints had 13-7 going into the second quarter. And then second quarter, teams just traded touchdowns, as Josh Hill had one, Emmanuel Sanders had a touchdown, Breeze had a touchdown run, Raheem Mostert had a 35-yard touchdown reception, and Mostert also had another touchdown run late in the second quarter. It was 28-27 Frisco at the half. Then the Saints outscore them. I'm sorry, no, they did not outscore. I'm sorry. Because the Saints only got 2 field goals in the third quarter, and then George Kittle had a 5-yard touchdown reception. And it was 35-33 going into the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, this was back and forth, as Kendrick Bourne gave Frisco a 42-33 lead. Then Michael Thomas had a 21-yard touchdown reception. It was 42-40. Then Frisco goes down the field. They get a field goal. It was 45-40 with about 2 minutes left to go in the game. Then with 53 seconds left, Traquan Smith had an 18-yard touchdown pass. With 53 seconds left to go in the game, looked like the Saints were going to pull out a big victory, as they led 46-45. But they let Frisco go right down the field. They had a big face mask call that got San Francisco in the field goal range, and they kicked a 30-yard field goal as time expired, and that cost the Saints #1 seed, also cost them the first round bye. And then they played the Indianapolis Colts. This was a Monday night game, as Drew Brees had set the all-time TD mark in the game. Saints win 34-7. As Michael Thomas had a touchdown reception, Traquan Smith had a touchdown reception, Josh Hill, Taysom Hill. So Saints they led 34-0 in the at one point, and they just dominated the Colts as they won 34-7. Then they only got a few more games left, as we got the next game was against the Tennessee Titans, as the Saints rallied to beat the Titans. They won 38-28. As the Saints, they got down 14-3, but the Saints they woke up in the second half, as Alvin Kamara had a touchdown run, 2 touchdown runs. Jared Cook had a touchdown pass. Michael Thomas had a touchdown reception, and the Saints were able to come back and beat the Titans 38-28, as Drew Brees threw for 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they were able to win 38-28. Then then the last game of the season, they take care of the Panthers 42-10, as the Saints they got out. They were up 35-0 at this one point. The Saints just came out and they just destroyed the Panthers, as they went 42-10. As Taysom Hill had a touchdown reception, Jared Cook had one, Traquan Smith, A.J. Klein had an interception return for a touchdown. Alvin Kamara had 2 touchdown runs. Saints just destroyed the Panthers, as they finished the season 13-3. Wasn't enough to get the number 2 seed. I mean, usually 13-3 would get you the number 2 seed, but that loss to Frisco. But the one that really hurt the Saints was that loss to Atlanta, the first one, when the Saints came out lethargic and didn't. It was just an awful game for them. And but because I give credit to the Falcons for that game, because they were much better than the Saints that day. But the Saints that just performed that's the game that really cost the Saints, because if they would have won that game, they would have had a first round bye, and I don't know. Who knows what happened then? Because of course they had to play they had to play the Minnesota Vikings in the wild card round, and the Vikings won in overtime 26-20. I thought Drew Brees played one of the worst games I ever seen him play. Uh, it was actually it was the worst play, or the worst. It was the worst game of the year for Drew Brees. But he because he threw an interception, he fumbled the ball, missed on passes. Just was a very not a very good game for Drew Brees as he went. Let's see what's his stats. 26 out of 33. I mean, 200 only 208 yards, one touchdown, one pick. As no, the Vikings were, like I said, the Vikings were much better that day. As both teams traded field goals in the first quarter, and in the second quarter, the Vikings had a 5-yard touchdown run by Dalvin Cook, and they led 13-10 going into the halftime break. In the third quarter, Dalvin Cook had a touchdown run. It was 20-10. And then the Saints actually tied the game up 20. Miraculously, they tied this game up somehow, 20-20, as they kicked a 49-yard field goal. They tied up, but then the Vikings got the ball first and overtime period, and Kyle Rudolph had the touchdown reception from 4 yards out, and it was on third down, and then they went 26-20, and the Vikings moved on to the next round where they lost to the 49ers. So Saints, they finished the season. I guess they were 13-3, or 13-4 with the playoff loss. So it was a very disappointing. It was a very disappointing end to the season because because of, I mean, they were 13-3, and just the way they played in that playoff game, the Saints just played horrible. Uh, just they couldn't run the ball. Let's see, I didn't give you running stats on that game because the Saints only ran the ball for 97 yards. They threw the ball 34 times and ran it 17. I mean, it came down to the Saints' inability to run the football in that game, and Drew Brees just wasn't what Drew Brees uh, usually is. So hopefully next season, I mean, I'll go. I guess when I do my season preview for the Saints in 2020, you'll get my thoughts on that. But all in all, it was an okay season for the Saints. 2019, like I said, it didn't end like we wanted to. It was a very disappointing loss in the playoffs, but those things happen. So guys, look for more of these because I'll be doing more of these videos as the days go on because there's not much sports to go on. So I might just do your favorite team. Have a great one, guys. I'll talk later.